self, cosmos, ohana, internet, infinity. Soul Dr. Nick here, and it is Sunday, March 23rd, 2025, 2 days after the spring equinox. Today's going to be Ohana Breath on inspiration. This is the magic mirror work from me to me, by me, through me, as me, for me, and we'll be putting it out in the public to be present with. And we'll be starting to shift these to publishing a couple months later, just to practice something different, being able to share whatever wants to be shared in real time and then letting go of when it's going to be released. I'll be reflecting a little bit on the spring equinox still. I have my dear friend Francis over, and he's transformed our home already, putting up different shelves, moving the freezer, clearing things, taking things apart, and what a difference it makes in the home when there's more beauty and there's light and there's love and there's a wowie and just celebration. And then had a beautiful barbecue with my beloved's family, first time for the rest of their family to come over, and just noticing what's there, noticing what's not there, noticing the sun coming out. And then also this is a tiring day. I'm feeling tired. It's been a lot of work lately relative to what I've done before. Thursday had an evening breath for 2 men in person, live. And then Friday had an online breath, which lasted for an hour. There was some technical difficulties. And then Friday night had that 4-hour session, which included like a breath that lasted almost 3 hours probably. And then yesterday, just hosting, barbecuing, and then napping in the middle, and then waking up to my beloved being so excited about shelves in the closet, and that's great, or in the space underneath the stairs where the washing machine is, and getting things off the floor and clearing it out, and the differences, and what a difference it makes to stay in my lane sometimes, to do what I can do best, and then to share and bring in someone like my dear Francis, who loves to build things. And that was good yesterday, chatting with him, because sometimes people get the idea that I want them to do what I do, that I'm trying to train them to be me. And I think that there used to be a part of that for sure. Like, this is like the best thing to do. And now I'm like, no, do the thing you're best at, what inspires you. What is the thing that brings you inspiration, that you get up out of bed and you do no matter what, no one needs to tell you. And that's even it for me for this. I'm tired. I was like, do I really want to get out of bed? It's like, no. It's time to get some work done today. There's some magic mirror work. There's the playlist to make for today. There's the contemplation. There's the writing down the highest priority actions. I just finished, before I did this, uploading a ton of videos because it's about clearing out the backflow. And then just reminding myself, okay, how do I clear out the financial backflow? How do I sort out what needs to be sorted out in the taxes world, in the investment world, in the asset world, in the loans world, in the debts world, in the repayment world? How do I sort things out and get the wealth gurus to start planning things out? What are the next steps? Where do we go? And then recognize that it's all part of the inventory management of life right now. That was a funny thing when I realized, our 3D world, our everyday world, inventory management is looking at our online accounts, moving stuff in storage, moving stuff in backpacks. Ooh, that was a crack sound in the light. That was interesting. Maybe it's a reminder that's important. When I'm doing inventory management, I'm not actually playing the game. And do I really want to be doing that? And how do I not abdicate the throne? It's that beautiful balance of taking care of business and then letting the business take care of itself. I'm a genius and I apply my wisdom. Today is going to be a wunderbar day. I feel to heal. Everything is a choice. Everything is a story. The only constant is change. I do what I love, and I love what I do. So just saying a few of the affirmations. Feeling really chill. I made so much juice last night. I decided to try this produce delivery. Got a whole case of celery. And when you get a case, it is not washed, which means there's lots and lots and lots of dirt. So it took a lot more effort in terms of washing until I started finding a flow. I can batch wash even. Cucumbers were great. My little man wanted to help, and it's so cute having a little man who wants to help you juice. And I actually had to let him know, okay, now it's time for Dad to come in, because otherwise it's like, these are the hard things, these things that can take a while to cut. I like to do this before it's too late, and even then we didn't get to bed till after 11, so it's been a couple late nights. And we're trying not to make them as late. And then what else is there? And then just stoking the fires of excitement. Stoking the fires of excitement for myself, for the men in my life, Mike and Sean and Brent and Francis and others. And just noticing all the stories that have been there. I'm so lucky to have so many strong men, and I can see the breadcrumbs, how things can lead. I can see how I can go from where I was on Friday at the spring equinox to breathing under the giant pyramid at Burning Man and offering my version of medicine and continuing to refine it. There's a part of me that can be chameleon, saying the things that I think are the right things to contrast. And then there's the part that is actually just enjoying myself and recognizing, what am I not? What am I not? Okay, I don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. Okay, how do I step into this? How do I step into that? How do I not be a cult leader? But instead of saying, how do I not be a cult leader? What kind of leader do I want to be? And I'm practicing that even in my entangled friendship, former coaching relationship, business relationship, especially with someone as close as Francis now. It's fun. And he's never met my best friend, so it's fun and it's funny. Right? There's all these relationships that I haven't met, and then they have met. Like, he's like, oh, I did meet Brent after his accident, and we did a breath together at his home. I'm like, so cool. So cool. And I can kind of remember that now. And I kind of can't either. I am so lucky to have so many people in my life. I am so lucky to have so many people in my life. I'm so lucky for all these changes. And Francis has helped us decorate our last 3 homes, putting things on the walls, making sure they're secure. And our first home, when we owned, we thought we were going to be there for a while. And so he was putting up these giant mirrors and everything else. It looked great. And then shortly afterwards, I was like, time for a new home. And my beloved said yes, and we moved. We sold the place. I had to take it all down. And I know it's such a reminder to get practice getting help, to practice to actually implement the beauty, because I could have waited a lifetime to finish that home. Because for me, it wasn't a priority. I did not see the value in it. Like putting a giant mirror on the wall, I didn't see the value in it at all. Putting some mirrors on the wall, didn't see the value in it. And my beloved saw value in that. And they were just sitting around until then. Because why even bother do anything with them? I'm going to reach out and hopefully we can get a hold of some of these art pieces that we spread out amongst some friends. An ayahuasca painting with our friend Gisa, the poem, The Invitation with our friend Quentin, and some other things, and see if we're going to get some return to us. And if not, that's okay. That's okay. If not, that's okay. I've already let go of much of it. But it is important to call things back in, to invite things back in. Yeah, it's been fun playing with these microphones, to recording the ceremonies, to recording audio, to recording video, and not having to try to do something with it, not having to figure it out, and not feeling like I'm behind for not taking care of it. I realized a few days ago, I was like, I'm going to record these daily because I've committed to doing this daily, probably for at least this year. Doesn't always have to be long. And then releasing them probably a couple months later, because what is it like to actually have scrutiny? It feels like there's scrutiny. It feels like there's eyes watching. It's like, all right, let's give it a little bit of a delay and see what it feels like then. See what freedom comes out of the voice then. Just signed up for the Jack Kruse membership now, and there's so much to dive into. He's got videos back from 2012, so 13 years worth of monthly videos, of blogs, and just wondering what I can use to summarize things even. What is his leptin protocol? What is his light protocol? What is his EMF protocol? What's his red light therapy protocol? And getting some of these red light tools, like investing in it. That really is an investment, and it's one step at a time, and it's looking at which ones will make the most impact on my son's skin, on his teeth, on his grinding, on his nighttime events, on his nighttime wake-ups, on his night terrors. What's there for acceptance? What's there for noticing? I did enemas for the last couple of days as well, coffee enemas again, because didn't have the best food in some choices, not the best food choices. Whether it's Popeye's chicken after the equinox. And I didn't get what I really wanted, which is the regular chicken. Doesn't need to be saucy. So reminding myself the sauciness isn't always necessary, especially when it's not good sauciness. The second thing is, what do we have yesterday? Well, I guess yesterday was all the barbecue stuff and everything else. There's a number of things that I realized were not all the best food choices. The other reason was because I was feeling a little run down. And I thought, how do I clear out whatever needs to be cleared out from this body as quickly as possible? Honoring the mothers who are homeschooling. Honoring these different layers of learning, of teaching, of growing. Seeing without seeing. Just imagining the ICU Academy, just imagining Nicola Farmer, and her creating a training program for adults as well. Imagining bringing Dr. John Demartini here to Vancouver, and then imagining going to his course in April in Toronto as well. Noticing there's the stories in my head of the right ways and the wrong ways to do things. There's just the pleasure of the path that I want to be on, not the avoidance of the pain of the path that I don't want to be on. And it's such a distinct difference, as distinct from, as my friend Joni would say. And then reminding myself this backpack holds most of my valuable technological tools that I use right now on a regular basis. It's funny, and yet there's a home full of stuff, and I want a bigger home. And then there's the whole idea that I've learned about, kind of like that earth home, like that it can actually generate and ground you into the earth, bring ions of the earth into your body, and those ions of the earth into the body, connected with the early morning sunlight especially, that I'm learning from Dr. Jack Kruse, that creates most of the ATP in your body that you need in a day. And that's probably what the breatharians are able to do. 70 to 80% of your ATP can generate from there, and then only 20 to 30% needs to be generated from the food that you eat. And so the more that we do that, the less food we need to eat. And then there's the part for me, I think, where I'm a hot body, where a sauna can serve me as well. And that's my dear friend Francis is reminding me. He's like, let's go to a sauna. I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's do it on Monday. Let's actually dive into it. Spend 3 hours, spend 4 hours there. Hot, cold plunge, 9:30 to 11:30 probably. And if I need more time, I can stay longer. I can send a mom in a taxi, in an Uber. It's all good. And breathe. And breathe. He's going to help us set up a shelter. I look forward to that. I look forward to having that upstairs. I look forward to having dry furniture all the time to go up there and sit into, and feel into, and breathe into, and be into. Looking forward to being into it. So into that. So into that. Just watching the fire here, I just love having real fire. It's such a gift, it's such a treat to have real fire. Just imagining if I do breath work with people upstairs, what that might be like. It's interesting listening to stories of the past and all the ways that I've learned it from the mainstream official news and history. And then being able to hear interviews in 60 minutes, 20, 30, 40 years ago now, about their low voltage wires and how they already knew that these were going to cause harm. But how many people are willing to say something that introduces just enough doubt? And then noticing how people are willing to fight for their rights then, and how in the less clouded, noisy world, there's actually more clarity of what to stand up and resist. And part of it right now is noticing that all of the news is trying to push for this new prime minister that we know very little about, and trying to say how there's this conservative leader who's unelectable and all these things, and how the polls are neck and neck. And I think there's some truth to that. I think that there may be actually, you never know. I can only hope in a way that there's a Trump-like effect where there's authenticity, where long form meets short form, where the clarity can come out, where there's been work in finding the candidates who really want to run versus the ones who are looking at just saying, can I win or not? And that's what will dictate whether I run or not. And just trusting the process. I mean, there's so many things I could be outraged over depending on how things go. I'm like, I don't have to be. I get to just sit back and watch. Watch the unwinding, the unfolding of history. Everything up till now has been perfect. Absolutely fucking perfect. Doesn't mean that I've always enjoyed every moment exactly the way that I would like to, especially in the moment. It's funny saying things, and I say things, and it's hard for me to even understand that it's harder for me to sometimes own outside of the space. It's just like being able to see the whole idea of the quantum entanglement. Like you can be both here and on the other side of the galaxy at the same time, and can you see both? And inviting and planting the seeds in others to see it, even though I personally don't see it the same way yet. There's a knowingness that exists, though. And I think sometimes for me, it's the knowingness that exists, the possibility exists, and I can speak into the possibility, even if I don't get to realize on the possibility all the time. And what if that's one of the gifts? And it's a gift and it's a curse, because there's a part of me that's jealous of others, jealous of what they get to experience, create, have, feel, do. And then in those moments forgetting, what about me? What is it that I get to have, feel, do? And then what is it that I want to choose? Because it's my own clarity and manifestation. When I really want something, I manifest it. I manifested a spring equinox festival that was just perfect. I manifested experiences with the clients, everything that they are perfect. It's getting out of the way. I have an idea of how things are supposed to go, and it isn't right. I have an idea of how things are supposed to go, and it isn't right. Let go of the rightness or the wrongness of it all. Let go of the rightness or the wrongness of it all. Let go of the rightness or the wrongness of it all. So many things that can be entangled. So many things that can be entangled. I'm not trying to entangle them all. Still haven't done the operator costs. Really getting clear on that. There's a part of me that's nervous about saying it. There's nervous about entangling the different companies, the different ways of being, the different referral sources. and then letting it go. Honoring what I am pulling to the table, bringing to the table, and honoring what my beloved is bringing, has brought, will bring to the table as well. And recognizing the balance that's already there. The balance is there whenever I'm stepping into inspired action, because it means I'm both inspired action, bring things in, and I'm being supported in being able to be inspired action. And then recognizing, it's partly recognizing and honoring the support that's there, the refinement that's there, and then being able to recognize the support, the refinement are there, whether it feels like it is support or refinement. What are the highest? What would I love to do? What would I absolutely love to do in this lifetime? Be me, play. Who is me? Me is that leader, that kooky teacher, that mischievous jokester. Likes to lie down, likes to jump up and get around, likes to cook, likes to barbecue, likes to have family over, likes to have freedom of choice, likes to come up with new ideas, likes to play into new ideas. Oh, let's step right into the home already. Let's start building these Airbnbs. Let's realize that we're playing Calvin ball. I'm playing Calvin ball is all I'm doing. I'm making up rules as I go. And I'm inviting other people to make up their own rules at the same time and seeing how they interact. You're going to get some of those Calvin and Hobbes books and be reminded and read that. There's such wisdom in there. Calvin ball. So interesting to just think of that. It's like Calvin ball, that's what I'm doing in life. The more I can do that, the better it is. And so playing this Calvin ball, hearing about these homes which can bring on all these ions, hearing about how you can build things and look for permits afterwards. And that's just a crazy idea. You may not be able to insure it. And what if it is uninsurable? What does that mean? What is a possibility of all that? You may lose all your possessions. Okay, so then what? Then what? Then what? Taking a breath. Taking a breath. Drinking like a liter of green juice right now. Carrots, cucumbers, parsley, apples. I was going to get some fennel, but I couldn't find any offhand. Yeah, it's funny actually getting vegetables that have been in dirt and seeing how dirty they can be. And then realizing that's what they mean when they're washing off the veggies in the back. They actually have to wash them off to get them as clean as they are to stack them in the front. And then doing my own cleaning as well every time. Like just because something looks clean, I know how much it takes me just to wash things off, and I doubt that anyone's doing it to the same extent. What a life. What a way of living. What a way of wanting. What a way of trusting. Trust is the currency ideal. And can I trust myself, trust each other, trust the universe, trust in the material, the immaterial, trust the electricity. So DC currents, our body is generating DC currents, generating biophotons. We're able to measure some of these things. I already know that with the EEG, EKG, but then there's more sensitive machines that can actually register the light that our body's producing, that the mitochondria are producing. And in that, being able to see what activates our light, that's probably related to the auras that we bring off. And auras are just another way of seeing spectrums of light that most of us may not be able to see. We can't delineate it, or we've forgotten how to, or we've lost or forgotten or neglected those receptors in our eyes. There's so many different receptors that we are not taught or told about. And then the things that we think are just automatically normal, blocking out UV light, things like that, versus actually letting in more UV light. letting in more far infinite light. There's some truth to that. I have to see if that's what Bryce has been up to. Is it Dr. Jack Cruz? It'd be hilarious if it was that he's been talking about this whole time. He's like the godfather of biohacking in a way, this Dr. Jack Cruz. El Salvador, getting a place down there. I think there's some method to that madness, that's for sure. I don't even know where it is, but knowing that he's there, it's just like Michael Singer in Florida, the World Cruise Ship with Dr. DeMartini, Transylvania with Jerry Sargent. Let's message his team as well. Let's message his team. Looking forward to that. There's so many pieces to put in place. There's so many unknowns and doubts. So many guides, so many teachers. I'm just thinking of them. It's hard to even imagine Hella Weston and Lucas Mack. Think about Aubrey Marcus and Ilana. Great to hear about Bobby Kennedy and what he's up to, and I just can't imagine all the work these people are up to right now. And I'm glad so many of them are excited to do what they want to do. Like, that's the difference, is having someone who's excited to do what they want to do, like Trump excited to do what he wants to do, Elon excited to do. I don't need to agree with everything they're doing, but that excitement, that passion, that drive, that desire. And then taking a step back from trying to keep up with it all. There's so many things I, for the longest time, I was trying to keep up with. I need to keep up with the news, keep on top of the news cycle, so I can feel like I'm informed, so I can feel like if someone says something that I know something about it. And I am still doing that, but yeah, like I don't know if I know I am still looking at the news app right now. And how many times do I want to glance at the phone, right? I do appreciate that, like 150 times, is that really serving? Is that really serving myself? As opposed to being intentional with it. Like right now I'm being intentional with the phone, I'm interacting with it, I'm actually working with it. And then when it's not working, how do I step back and away from it? All right, let's step into reading some things for myself, because this is for me. Sometimes I forget that. I forget that magic mirror work. Hi, Nick. Hello, this is me, for me, by me. And then noticing how I am playing it safe. And if I'm playing it safe, is that how I want to do this? Or do I want to just stop this and do it differently? Wow. Did everything upload already? Something is still sending. No, I think everything's complete. Oh, probably backplays now. So, that's okay. That was a lot of data that just sent. 64 gigabytes of data. Cool. Uploaded a bunch of stuff. Always fun. Always fun. So let's see here. Let's do this part first instead. Let's do this purpose statement first. I, Nicholas Hogar Wong, hereby declare before myself, others, and God that my primary purpose in life is to be a soul doctor. First for myself, and then for all those around me by teaching, serving, guiding, facilitating. And I will do this through taking the highest priority actions every day, including taking the time for myself to explore, to do the magic mirror work, to grow, to do the DeMartini method, to practice affirmations and incantations, to look at my master life plan, to continue to hone in and be clear on what it is that I can most deliver into the world and practice delivering it. Right now through my Ohana Sage and Ohana Breath companies with my founding partners, Marika and Matt. And eventually that will continue to expand, and I'll set up automatic systems for the intake and for the support, and for sustainable fair exchange. Also for the automatic savings of at least 10%, and the investings and growing of assets, and the delegation of how to manage not just the money, but also the areas of life that are my lower priority actions, and are so important and high in the values, especially those of my beloved and those I care about. I want to keep growing my biological family as well as growing my Ohana or spiritual family. And I will also share what I learned as quickly as possible, and as thoroughly as possible, and as completely as possible, so that I can contribute to the collective wisdom of the world. And I will have wealth in all 7 areas of life, already recognizing that life is perfect and I am so wealthy. And I continue to welcome and invite in more wealth and manage it as well as I can and give it purpose and flow in clear direction, so that I can create not just for the next year, 10 years, decades, but for the generations and lifetimes to come. I do this not because I want to hold on to it all and say it's mine. Rather, I'm getting clearer and clearer on my message. And by creating more wealth, I can spread that message more clearly and really found the school of unlearning. I'm just imagining I don't want to be in the realm of asset management, of inventory management, and I want to have assets and inventory that want to be managed by people that I love, that I trust, that I can spread out in the ways that I want to spread it out. Just imagining how much farmland I can have and how I can inspire people to cultivate it, to develop it, and make that a passion. That's worthwhile. That's a worthwhile endeavor. It's a worthwhile endeavor to homestead. It's a worthwhile endeavor. And forgetting, there's so many people that's just like, how do I spend less because I want to be able to do things I really love, but I don't know how to do it in this world of money and everything else like that. I'm feeling trapped. And that was the biggest thing when I first started doing all this work, was I felt like I was in prison. And I'm just remembering my dear friend Adam Quiney, who was doing those Facebook Lives and like ask me anything and just kind of spitballing. And eventually this magic mirror will possibly evolve into something like that occasionally, like once a week going on live and just spitballing. Whatever wants to come through can come through. And not worrying who comes and who doesn't. Not worrying who comes and who doesn't. Who wants to be alive and who doesn't want to be alive in that space. And it's the play back and forth, be able to do that, to dancing through life. Yeah, I can see now why he did it. I can see more clearly, because I was like, man, that seems like a waste of time. It's a lot of energy. And then it's like getting on there felt like it was, and I was like, oh, even right now with this Ohana breath, it's like drawing people in. It's like drawing people like moths to a flame. Moths to a flame. What is a certainty? Huge part of actual manifestation is just being so certain in the moment. And the more moments of certainty, the more powerful it can be. And certainty is so different than trying to pretend to be certain. It's like trust. It's like love. There's so many things that we try to fake, and you can fake it for a bit, and the whole idea of fake till you make it. And then there's the times we think we're faking it, but it's actually true, but we're just doubting ourselves right away afterwards. It's an instantaneous certainty and an instantaneous doubt. We're balancing ourselves out right away. And it's just hearing about the certainty when I was listening to Dr. Jack Kruse, like this woman's going to live. Can I do 20 hours of brain surgery on them? There's a certainty I have when I'm stepping into these containers of breath and everything else like that, and I've created so much evidence. I'm certain we're going to get to the other side of this. What it's going to look like, I'm uncertain of, but that uncertainty is also certain, because I'm creating it intentionally that way to create more possibility than I can imagine. It's the difference between saying these are the 3 points that you're going to get to versus there's an infinite number of points, and I'm going to guide you based on what I see and guide you in unexpected ways to come back home. And that's the group event. Like, it was 4 people, and I wanted it to be bigger on Spring Equinox for participants, and it was perfect because I didn't need to keep going bigger on my own yet with someone there. Everything is continuing to evolve and to multiply. Man, so perfect. And it's funny that I've got all these eye doctors talking all about vision. And all about vision is looking at all these different areas of the eye and all the different ways it can actually transmute ultraviolet light and other things, and how I would love to, now that I'm learning more, create specific lenses that are only for the spectrums that we want to block out, and letting in all the spectrums we want to bring in. And just noticing, because that's what I want to have in my metas. And how do I minimize the amount of technology that I'm using? Because all of this is emitting EMF signals and everything else. All of this is more blue light than I probably want, and it's okay. All of this tying back to the beginning of electricity, the beginning of light bulbs. Like every time we have another technology, there's a quantum leap in disease. But if we don't look at it as we're energetic beings, that we're quantum beings, and we're looking purely from the materialistic standpoint, part of the point of bringing in more materialism is A, it helps to sell the treatments that they want to sell, which are not that effective. And B, it helps to deflect from the causal link of the technologies which have invisible transmissions, creating visible disease. Energy turns into matter when it slows down enough. And if you keep bombarding, if I am bombarded by stuff over and over again without as many tools as possible to kind of transmit